Diana Taurasi promptly went out today and scored 3 points, and she got benched. That's right, she did not start the game.
You get the question of, why don't you just retire? And, you know, it's something I've been doing since I was 5. It's something that I've dedicated my whole life to.
Is it really true? The legendary Diana Taurasi of women's basketball just scored 3 points while sitting on the bench. What happened to one of the greatest players of all time?
Diana Taurasi promptly went out today and scored 3 points, and she got benched. That's right, she did not start the game.
So fasten your seatbelts because this tale is about to get crazy. You'll be shocked by the controversy surrounding Diana Taurasi's selection to Team USA. Fans have good reason to be upset about it. Let me give you an explanation. Taurasi was chosen as a legacy pick, which indicates that her standing and past accomplishments played a major role in the decision. It makes sense, doesn't it? But not quite that fast.
0 points. So we just ended the 3rd game in a row, and she had 3 points.
The truth is that Taurasi isn't performing in the way that the legend is known for. Her performance quality has significantly dropped, as fans have noticed. One fan stated it succinctly, Diana Taurasi shouldn't have made the team for real. Damaged. But things get worse still. Some critics are drawing comparisons between Taurasi's current form and Shaquille O'Neal's decline during his Celtics career. Do you remember how difficult it was to watch? Now picture yourself doing that on the Olympic stage. A different fan, not to be outdone, proclaimed, they can't say they chose the team for purely basketball reasons and then picked Taurasi, who is clearly not a top 12 player anymore. It's challenging to argue against that line of thinking, isn't it? It's getting to the point where it's intolerable. Fans are perplexed as to how Team USA could overlook fresh talent in favor of a fading star. One fan captured the sentiment perfectly when they stated, Diana Taurasi does not belong on the court right now. Imagine yourself as a young, talented player watching from the sidelines as Taurasi struggles on the court. It must hurt so bad.
That whole tournament, and now they go up against the queen of all queens, the GOAT, Diana Taurasi.
You get the question of, why don't you just retire? And, you know, it's something I've been doing since I was 5. It's something that I've dedicated my whole life to.
That agony is also being felt by fans. It's clear that you're disappointed. But this is where things start to get really interesting. This goes beyond what Taurasi has accomplished on his own. It has to do with the future of women's basketball. It is about the tension that arises from appreciating the past while also accepting new talent. To grasp a better future, the question is whether we're willing to let go of the past. You might wonder how Team USA could have reached such a contentious conclusion. At that point, our story takes an unexpected turn. Because while Taurasi was having problems on the court, another player was making waves in a way that nobody had predicted. This young talent is not only talented, but she's changing the game as well. She's redefining what's possible in women's basketball. Moreover, the fact that she was left off of Team USA is making a lot of people rethink how they perceive the selection procedure for these teams. So who is this player that nobody knows? Why does she stand out so much? And why wasn't she selected for Team USA? So take a seat, because today we're going to delve into one of the most intriguing tales in women's basketball. Before proceeding, let us fully understand the issues at hand. There are more players or teams involved than that. It has to do with the future of women's basketball in general. Whether we will embrace innovation and change or cling to the past is the question. Diana Taurasi's star seems to be fading, but a new player is lighting up the basketball world. Her name is Caitlin Clark. She's not just gifted, she's changing the game and breaking records. Have you seen the most recent WNBA game played by Clark? In all, she had 19 assists. He did, in fact, record 19 assists in a single game. Its new record is making waves in the industry. This is not merely a skillfully performed piece, it's a statement. Clark is not just playing the game, he is redefining it. But this is where things start to get really interesting. While Taurasi was struggling to make an impression, Clark was showing why she should have been on that Olympic team. Her performance was not just remarkable, but revolutionary. And fans, they realize. You're probably thinking, how much of a difference could one player really make? It's enormous, I tell you. There is a strong belief among fans that if Clark had been on the Olympic team, attendance would have doubled. Can you imagine that happening? There would be twice as many spectators, which would heighten the exhilarating atmosphere that defines basketball. You're probably thinking, yeah, Clark's good, but is she really that big of a deal?
I mean, let's be real. What is the over-under if Caitlin Clark is there? 25,000? I've got to wonder, twice the attendance? I think she could draw twice the attendance. I really do.
At this point, the answer is unquestionably yes. Not only is she beating teams, but she's also leaving statements. Her win over Cheryl Reeves's team was more than just a victory, it was a declaration. Clark proved to all in attendance that she is the future of women's basketball. The truly interesting part starts at this point. Clark's ascent goes beyond her exceptional skills on the court. It has to do with her principles. She's fresh, exciting, and bringing a whole new intensity to the game. Fans are connecting with her in a way they haven't seen in years from a player, but let's talk about those skills for a moment. That 19-assist game, it's more than just a number. Clark's court vision, ability to read the game, and ability to create opportunities for her teammates are all on display. Not only is she bettering herself, but everyone around her as well. That is the mark of an extremely talented player, and the supporters are watching. Not only are they impressed, they're inspired. A fan succinctly expressed her sentiments when she said, "I love Diana Taurasi, but her time has passed. Caitlin would have been a great asset." It's not about discrediting the legends of the game, it's about determining when new stars, new blood, and fresh energy are required. Everyone is asking the same question these days. How is she not on the Olympic team? This has the curiosity of more than just fans. Basketball analysts, coaches, and former players are all perplexed. Because it's clear from seeing Clark perform that she's ready for a global stage as well. She could be in charge of it. This involves more than just one player or one squad selection. It has to do with the future of women's basketball. Clark represents a new generation of players that are quicker, more flexible, and more entertaining to watch. They're surpassing our preconceived notions of what is possible in the sport. The point is that this is more than just a basketball issue. Women's sports in general are receiving attention due to the controversy surrounding Clark's ascent and her Olympic rejection. It's starting conversations about how to improve teams, respect athletes, and progress the sport. The Taurasi-Clark situation involves more than just these two athletes. It's a fable concerning a bigger dispute that exists in modern sports. On the one hand, tradition is embodied by the players, the stars, and legends who have molded the game over the years. Conversely, innovation is exemplified by players who are on the rise, players who are pushing the boundaries of what is possible on the court, and innovators.
That the end result is to win a gold, and I think we always have that mindset when we play with Team USA. It's about our country, and it's about doing the job.
Think about it. Taurasi is a representation of everything that once made basketball amazing. She's a living legend of a player who has dominated the game for many years, but Clark, she has the future in her hands. She's coming onto the court with a whole new play style, newfound enthusiasm, and new skills. This debate between the old and the new is not exclusive to women's basketball. It's apparent in every sport. There comes a time when it is essential to pass the torch from one generation to the next. But isn't that not always easy? At this point, you might be wondering, what does this mean for women's basketball overall and Team USA? However, it's no longer just about who makes the team. It has to do with how we first establish teams. Should we stick with what has worked in the past? Do we still pick the big names and well-known stars even after they have passed their prime? Or should we take a chance on new talent? Even though the players' experiences are different from ours, do we still accept the players who are changing the game? These are not easy questions to answer, but the answers to these questions are up to Team USA and every other team, since the decisions we make now will have an impact on how the sport evolves in the future. Think about the potential effects on future team selections. Maybe more attention will be paid to how well you're performing right now than to your past achievements. Maybe more teams will take a chance on inexperienced young players. On the other hand, maybe we can find a middle ground where we honor our legends while also making room for the next generation. But it's more than just picking a team. This generational change may have an impact on the sport as a whole. New players bring new approaches to the game. They infuse new life and excitement. They attract new fans and act as an example for upcoming athletes. Just watch what Clark is doing. Our understanding of the point guard position is being revolutionized by her playstyle, court awareness, and assist scoring ability, and there is just one player. Envision an entire generation of gamers, each bringing something fresh and interesting to the game. The way the sport is marketed might also be affected by this modification. New characters to get to know and new stories to tell accompany rising stars. It might draw in an entirely new audience, people who might not have taken an interest in basketball in the past. However, the fact still stands that change isn't always easy. Opposition never goes away. There are always those who are happy with where they are in life and would prefer things to remain as they are. We also can't undervalue the contributions that players like Taurasi have made. They had a hand in making the popular game. It is now simpler for athletes like Clark. So how do we move forward? How can we honor the past while looking to the future? That is the issue that women's basketball is currently dealing with. Moreover, it's a challenge bigger than any one player or team. Diana Taurasi and Caitlin Clark are no longer the only players in this. It has to do with the future of women's basketball. It has to do with our readiness to let go of the past in order to seize a brighter future. Let's talk about the media now, since they are the real game changer in this whole thing. Even though it might appear that everything happens on the court, off-court activities are occasionally just as important. The way sportsmen like Clark and Taurasi are portrayed in the media, it's possible that you aren't even aware of how it affects their professional lives. Think about it. When you see headlines about Clark's amazing performance or Taurasi's struggles, it's not just news, it entails developing an engaging narrative story. And these stories, they are powerful. An athlete's destiny may be decided by them. Do you remember when Taurasi was the current women's basketball champion? The media played a major role in creating that impression. They highlighted her commanding stage presence, her bold plays, and her leadership. Still, as of right now, the narrative is changing. Suddenly, her decline, her struggles, and her benching position are the main topics of the stories. The player remains the same, but the story is completely different. Now, let's look at Clark. The media presents her as the next big thing in women's basketball. They are talking about her intensity on the court, her assists that have broken records, and her capacity to alter the course of play. In every highlight, statistic, and feature story, she is positioned as the next big thing. But this is where things start to get really interesting. Social media has drastically altered the game. It goes beyond what the main sports networks say these days. Any sports fan can use a smartphone these days to provide commentary on events. I assure you that they are not holding back. You have probably seen it firsthand. Fans debate their team selections on Reddit, post highlights on Instagram, and discuss every game on Twitter. It's like an ongoing, never-ending conversation about hoops. So, what is the best part? It also encompasses the players. They are sharing their own stories, building their personal brands, and interacting with fans. This is changing more than just how we talk about sports. It is changing the very nature of fame in the sports world. Think about it. Clark can develop a substantial fan following even before she steps onto a professional court. She's able to write her own story, share her journey, and have direct conversations with her fans. Now, it's completely different. But not everything is rainbows and sunshine. Utilizing social media can have negative effects. It can elevate someone just as quickly as it can bring them down. The plot can change drastically with just one bad performance or one controversial statement. What sort of pressure are these sportsmen facing? It's incredibly powerful, not to mention the fan who is just like you. Your voice matters now more than ever. Every time you comment on a post, share a highlight, or get involved in a dispute about team decisions, you are impacting the conversation. You influence these athletes' perceptions and the value of their careers. Now, you might be wondering, what role do you have in all of this? As a fan, you have the power to shape the future of the sport with your voice and support. The athletes you cheer for, the stories you share, and the conversations you have, all of them are important. They all bring something unique to the game of women's basketball. Think about it. Posting that incredible Clark assist on social media does more than just highlight a masterfully performed play. She's becoming more and more famous thanks to you. The debate over Taurasi's Olympic roster spot is a subset of the larger sports legacy versus current form debate.